Welcome to the Spire Cast. Today we will be discussing the overall approach to learning the game and how you can evaluate cards. We are diving into the community's biggest misevaluations and discuss how to treat tier lists as a learning resource and not a rule to follow. We also want to show that top players don't all think the same, so we are going to talk about a few things that we disagree on. And finally, we will take a look at all the new patches since the last episode.
Hello, I'm Japanese Export.
Hello, I'm Neow. Agreed.
Hello, I'm Open.
Hello, MV and Service.
All right, so all of us have posted, I think we've mostly posted tier lists on pretty much everything at this point. A lot of people just look at the tier list and go, oh, someone said X and you said Y. It's like someone's wrong or someone's better. There was a comment in the last podcast that was like, when people disagree, I want to see who has the biggest streak or something and know who's correct. But that's kind of just complete nonsense to look at that. The different evaluations are based on how we play. Just like a random example, if you pick a lot of star gen on region, then the expensive star cards would just be a lot better compared to someone who just doesn't pick that much.
Sometimes you have an idea and you're playing the character a certain way, you're taking some card highly, and that changes how every other card exists in the card pool as well. A great example of this is my region tier list with Comet being the best card in the game. I was taking speculative cards like Hitting Cash and Shining Strike sometimes. I was valuating star gen very highly. So expensive star cards like Comet were just paying off really well at the time. And this can just change so fast if you just change one evaluation. Like, oh, I don't want to take as much star gen cards. So now Comet's a lot harder to play. So the card got a lot worse. These types of shifting perspectives can happen all the time. I think that's very important to talk about and make people understand. Tier lists can lead people to believing that you have very strong opinions about these things, when in reality, you're just kind of testing things out and feeling the game out, and you're going to have a certain perspective at a certain time, and that's always going to change over time.
Inside of Spire 1, I think it was notorious how much people's minds changed. Even 7 years into a game, people would think that maybe the game's solved by then, but that never really truly happened. I mean, maybe towards the end we started feeling like we really could win very consistently on stuff, but if you look at how Spire changed over like 5, 6, 7 years that it was played pretty competitively, people's minds change like literally every week. And that does happen inside of Spire 2 as well. And I think talking about sort of macro ideas, and what I mean by that is really like, how do you draft on the character? What are you evaluating? And where do you want to end up in the run? Are you trying to farm max elites inside of Act 1? So you're picking these like early game damage commons? Are you trying to farm hallways? So you're picking like block commons? Are you just trying to build a really good engine for the end game and like dodging these hallways and like visiting a lot of stores and maybe like removing more than other people? Like, you can have a different idea and that will make all your drafting different. So when we're looking at tier lists, you lack a lot of that context. Really, you have to like watch someone play or listen to how they're describing how they play in order to get the full picture. And so like when Nave puts Comet at the top of his tier list, I don't agree, but I understand like how one could play to make that happen as well. And I think for my Ironclad tier list on release patch, for example, everyone was saying this is so infinite pilled. Like, what if you just don't go infinite? I was just finding a lot of success with going infinite like every single run, right? And so there was no real reason for me to deviate from that sort of idea at all. Now that we have more reasons, maybe our tier list changed a lot.
Yeah, tier lists, you don't have to think about as a objective ranking of power level of cards. It's more so a reflection on the author's way to play the game. So just by looking at the list itself without listening to how they explain the cards, you're not going to get a lot of value out of it. The best way to utilize a tier list is you should listen to them talk about each individual cards, the context they are describing the cards in. And if they are playing the game in a different way than you can try out their macro ideas to try something you haven't tried before. I think in a lot of tier list videos, people are saying you're overrating this card, you're underrating this card. That's not what the tier list author is doing. What they're saying is, I pick this card more often because I play this way, and I'm finding very good success with them because, well, all of us here, if we play seriously, we don't really lose that much. But we all play very differently. So this game has a lot of different ways you can approach it because the game has been out for like a month or two. There's nowhere close to be having like a single objective way to play the game. Yeah, so best way to utilize a tier list is you listen to what they're actually saying about the cards instead of just looking at the final rankings.
I feel like a lot of the tier list videos are just an excuse for the creator to yap about every single card. At least for me, that's basically what a tier list is. I get an excuse to talk about every single card when I think about them. Every like 2 days, probably, my mind would just change. So maybe a little bit careful in the tier list.
Yeah.
I think you can go one level deeper with the tier list stuff. There is one more reason why tier lists can be useful. And it's not just like a reason for the creator to yap about things. There's also this idea of a flowchart in Slay the Spire, and in Slay the Spire 1, I had a bunch of different flowcharts in my mind, and I would adapt to each flowchart given which relics I would see, which cards I would see. So I'd have like this idea of how I play Act 1 if I see these cards, if I see these relics, what direction I take my deck if I see this boss relic, and I would shift that flowchart constantly, and it would be like a ever evolving as the game continues. I'm not nearly that good at this game yet. So basically, when I made the Regent tier list, that is describing a flowchart that exists, and that flowchart might still be applicable to the way I play right now if, say, I transform into combat on floor 1. If I transform into combat on floor 1, I might basically follow that tier list to a T, because the run will be that run that I was playing back then when I was trying to force these heavy Stargen cards. But now I've built up even more flowcharts with Regent. I know how to play if I see Pillars of Creation floor 1. I know how to play if I see Quasar early. And the more flowcharts I build up in my mind, the more ways I know how to win with different cards and different relics, the more I will win in this game, the better I will be. You can still use tier lists to understand the flowchart that is being described by the tier list, because every tier list kind of just describes one specific flowchart. They can't describe everything, because the tier list basically shifts as soon as you see what cards are on floor 1, what Neow bonus you get, what relics you get. The tier list completely changes, like, constantly. You can't really describe everything in one list. So you can describe one specific flowchart, which is still very useful, because then you'll know how to react when you see the core cards in that flowchart. But you need to be able to react to all the different situations in the game, not just one.
I think it's a really great point. You learn how to play from a bunch of different people because everyone has individual runs that look entirely differently, right? Like, we are not all playing the same runs. That's just not the way the game works. So when you watch how someone plays and approaches, you can sort of steal their ideas. And I think the perfect player really is an amalgamation of like all the best stuff from every run. Basically, in Spire 1, I'd started a couple years after like all of this progress was made and all these ideas were formed, and my learning was so expedited because I already had like these ideas from Baylor and Jorbs and Terrence and Crimson Blur like at the very beginning of the game. And if I had to start from zero and not use anyone else's ideas, there's no way I would be at the skill level that I'm at. And I think it's the same thing with Spire 2. We're all just going to learn and do different stuff. And like the way we're going to get better as a community is just looking at how everyone treats the game differently and trying to steal the best ideas from everyone.
A lot of new players ask me, how many hours do you have in Slay the Spire 1? That's kind of relevant to learning Slay the Spire 2. I mean, obviously the card pools are not the same and the enemies are not the same, but the way you are having this overall framework to build all these flowcharts, like what Nave was describing before, that fundamental concept is the same across the different games. So a lot of new players think Slay the Spire 2 is really hard. I think that's fair. I think Slay the Spire 2 is a really hard game. But for us who have played Slay the Spire 1 for like thousands of hours, Slay the Spire 2 feel easy because that skill is very transferable from the first game to the second. We're not insulting anyone who's new or like the casual player base. We're just saying they're easy for us because we have all this experience from the previous entry.
I think there is one extra thing, which is that I have built a few flowcharts in this game at this point, and the flowcharts in this game are far more simple than the flowcharts in Spire 1. Like, there's way less layers to them because I don't have to react to as much because there's less challenges in the game. So when I say the game is easy, I'm also talking about that. Like, I'm not just saying that my experience is making the game feel easy. Like, the flowcharts are more simple in this game because the lack of Act 4 and also just the game is less challenging in a lot of ways, in my opinion.
No, that's true. There's no Act 4. I mean, the game is not even finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do agree in a sense that the game is just straight up easier than Slay the Spire 1, but someone who has not played this genre before, it's going to be a very hard game.
The difficulty level of Spire is high in general.
Yeah.
I was pretty horrible when I started Spire 2. A10, I was just losing nonstop. But the thing Spire 1 really, really helped me with, it taught me how to improve. I could go back to the run history and see all the card rewards, and how much health I lost, and think, what went wrong? And what could I have done differently? That's probably the biggest thing Spire 1 taught me, I guess, rather than the game being somewhat similar.
I do think it's hard for new players, especially, to evaluate why they lost, because I will have a lot of people in chat, like when I lose runs, and I do lose runs. Everyone here loses runs, telling me, oh, you lost because you didn't rest, or you lost because you didn't do X, Y, Z, that sort of thing. to me in my head, that's never like really what it is. Like, I feel like I look way further back, and a lot of people are looking at like, you did this one thing on this turn in the most recent fight, and that's what caused you to lose. And I'm thinking like, oh, I did this really bad mistake inside of Act 1 because that caused me to like lose an elite, and then I lost a relic, and then I lost money, and then I lost this like huge upward snowball, right? And so how do you evaluate losses inside of Spire 2? I'm just curious how everyone sort of looks at their games and tries to figure out what went wrong.
It's been interesting. The past few days on stream, actually, I've been trying every time I lose a run to really go in depth as to why I lost, like explain every little decision and how they impacted the way I ultimately lost the run. Like losing HP on this floor because of this mistake, and then like using this potion in this position when I could have waited until you and use it on this turn instead, and that would have done this, and like really going into full depth as to like each mistake that brought me to the point that I'm at and made me lose the run. And I think that is very helpful to newer players. People have been saying it's very helpful to them just to hear the thought process of learning how to see how you lost the run, because that is the most important thing for learning in this game. Is if you lose a run or if you win a run, learning something from each run that you play, if you can accomplish that one thing, you will eventually be a great player. If you play runs and you lose them or you win them and you just didn't really learn anything, then that's what will make you stagnate. So very important.
Before I enter a fight, in my head, I'm like, how does this deck play against this fight? I expect to lose X HP. Like maybe I think this guy's gonna do 20 damage to me. So I guess I'll upgrade. I don't have to rest. And I think a lot of my losses I've just misevaluated because I'm still pretty new to the game. I died to the D boss recently on Regen. I thought I was just fine. I was like, this guy, if I split it, I won't take any damage. But my valuation was just wrong. I split it and I couldn't kill it. So I think that's most of the issues that I've had with actual losses. So to improve on that, it's just more experience, I guess. Like you've experienced it now, like, okay, this is not enough output for the thing. And then you can imagine the fight better in the future. You can kind of do that for like every fight in the whole game pretty much. If you really, really want to try and win every single run, just imagine how does my deck do?
It's very important to keep your brain turned on when you're playing and be like, what am I thinking is going to happen in the next few floors? And then you see it and it's completely different, then you know you were wrong. And keeping a mental note of that instead of just kind of clicking cards, like that is what will take you places. Keeping track of what's going on, how much HP you're losing versus how much HP you thought you were going to lose. And when you're correct, when you're wrong. Don't blame things on RNG. Don't say it's RNG's fault. Really try to consider what happened and how you got there.
There's this idea of look at your deck for any given combat. You're able to like have an idea on how that combat will go. Some people ask me how they do that, and I can't really explain. It's just like an abstract idea in my head. I just look at my deck and look at the combat. I just kind of know how the combat will go, and the only thing I can tell them is just from experience. I was just wondering if like you have any concrete suggestions to teach new players about this concept.
Spire is a really vibes-based game. If you have good vibes in terms of intuition of what's going to happen, you can sort of click through and be completely fine. Like Nave is a perfect example of a player who would win runs in like 50 minutes that people would spend 3 hours on inside of Spire 1. But in general, I think you can do a few things, like especially for something like Regent, it's a perfect example of counting damage and counting stars too. So if you know your deck is like 15 cards, you can basically say this is over 3 turns, and then you can just math out how many damaged cards do I reasonably expect to be able to play within those 3 turns, and which ones am I going to play, how many defense am I going to play, like literally calculate your output, right? People don't really do that, but you can really figure out a number on how much block you expect to be able to do, and if that's not meeting the enemy output requirement, then you know you're taking damage, right? So sometimes just more intentional thought like that and slowing down a lot can help fix that problem. But I do think like the more you play, the vibes just get better. But we used to count damage for like Gremlin Knob all the time until our vibes got really good. And even then, like you could just math out 3 turns. Like that was such a scripted fight. And we would really just sort of calculate draw orders and figure how often you could kill in 3. And I don't think people are really doing that much in Spire 2.
Intentional thought matters. Another thing is just look at your draw pile. Like, seriously, please look at your draw pile. If you are just playing the game and you're not looking at your draw pile like all the time, then you are making a mistake. That is, if you want to win, that is incredibly important to winning consistently. Is like always checking your draw pile, checking your discard pile, really thinking about what cards you have access to and what cards you're going to draw in the next few turns. When I'm feeling like I'm paying a lot of attention in the game, I'm looking at my draw pile like every few seconds. When I'm really not paying attention at all, I don't look at my draw pile at all. That's like the biggest way to tell if like a top player is thinking a lot. is if they're looking at the draw pile a lot. I watch a lot of new people play, and they will just not touch their draw pile for minutes on end. Like they'll just go multiple turns without looking at the draw pile, and that is why you can't plan out your turns. That's why you don't know what's going to happen in the fight, is because you're not thinking about your draw pile.
On the topic of learning, we are all still learning about the game, and our minds also change like every couple of days. One day we see this card or ancient bonus as like complete garbage, and the next day is like the best thing ever. As an example, Jason,
Well,
your example.
okay. I think the biggest one for me was crossbow. There was a few things with this. One, just playing with it more. But two, the context of the game changed, and my ideas behind how I wanted to play the game changed a lot. So before I was doing like small deck infinite stuff on release patch all the time. And so this idea of like adding random attacks to the deck is really not very good. And I don't think it hurt me very often, because most of my decks, by the time I got to Act 3 and saw it at all, it just didn't want that option at all. It was like sometimes negative. And now that we're not doing that, basically what crossbow says is just my damage for that half of my like requirements is just solved, and now I can spend all my energy on block. I often have decks now that look like that and are already doing that. I just don't have to worry about one checkbox that I'm supposed to be trying to check off anymore. And so now the relic is insane, right? And they also changed some stuff with like regens and made it cost 0 stars, the generated card. So there's things like that where either the game changes or you just try stuff, or your macro idea changes and then it changes your evaluation, right? And everything just goes out the window. But I think that's a good segue into talking about cards that we think people have misevaluated, or that people have told us we've misevaluated. Maybe some remnant leftover feelings from how things worked inside of Spire 1, but the framework that which you need to evaluate the card in is very different inside of Spire 2. So I think we're just going to get this big one out of the way. We can just go ahead and talk about Snakebite.
Oh god.
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
Greatest card of all
Best
time.
card ever.
Yeah, there is a decent amount of Snakebite discourse going around a while ago. I don't even know really what the full argument is around Snakebite. I just know there's a decent amount of people who think it's really strong. I think it mostly comes from this idea that poison damage is really good. And Snakebite's like retain and poison damage, which are like good keywords. The card can be like a high amount of output in some fights. I'm not really sure why people overrate it, aside from the fact that the card's just like not that high impact compared to Silent's average card. Like most of the shift cards just have better text written on them. Most synergy packages just like flow together better when you don't have a 2-cost deal 7 poison damage in your deck. But it's kind of difficult to know exactly what people are overrating about it without hearing from them.
I think the people who like Snakebite, they look at 7 poison, and they add like the entirety of the damage of Snakebite as that card's damage. So it's like 2 energy, 28. Wait, it's actually not even that good. It's just carnage, and you can't get vulnerable.
It stacks. That's the power. You can play it again, and then it's the second play is like 2 energy, like 7 every turn, so it'd be 49 or 7 turns.
Yeah, so they think about Snakebite as like 2 energy, deal 28 eventually, and if you get to replay Snakebite, the way poison stacks, the second time you play it, you get like an insane amount of value. But like the problem is it costs 2. In a lot of fights, you're not gonna be able to even get a full tick out of the poison damage. So it ends up being like 2 energy, deal like 18, which Silent just has way better ways to do damage other than committing 2 energy on damage card. Like you play a 1-cost power like Infinite Blaze, that's like 1 energy deal pretty much the same amount of damage. And you don't have to redraw it, you don't have to replay it.
I think that's a lot of misevaluation that I've seen, which is like, oh, this card's not as bad as you think. Because when I play it, I do this. So people are not thinking, like for Snakebite, it costs 2 energy. So when you play Snakebite, what is happening? There's not much energy in this game, right? So you spent 2 out of your 3 energy this turn playing the Snakebite. And what's happening on the other side of the screen? You're getting punched. People don't think about, oh, I'm getting punched. They just think, oh, Snakebite did this much damage. Must be all right.
I mean, it's important to respect poison damage, because like sometimes Silent can struggle with boss damage, and poison damage is some of the most efficient boss damage in the game. But I think a lot of people over-respect poison damage, where they're like, okay, deadly poison Snakebite, I have all the damage I need, because it feels very comfortable to go through boss fights with that poison damage. You just play the poison cards and the bosses die. I had a run recently where like I skipped poison stab or deadly poison, something like that, into Lagavuln, because I wasn't thinking very clearly about the fight. And the fight ended with Lagavuln at 2 HP, and I had all my damage cards at 0 on them because I had been debuffed so much. So if I take it 1 poison card, that never happens, obviously. So it's good to prevent these types of bad cases, but really all you have to do is think and respect the poison cards when you need to respect them. But most of the time you want to avoid them because the text on the cards are pretty bad. Like look at Bouncing Flask, like 2 energy, just deal damage. On Silent, it's just terrible value for what it's offering you. Deadly Poison, just terrible value. Snakebite, terrible value. Only cards like really Noxious Fumes are cards that have good value for the energy in like the average fight. But sometimes you just need it. Like poison damage is just one of those things you have to just respect it sometimes because you need to be able to do something in these boss fights. So don't never take Snakebite, but definitely don't always take it either.
I do think people are really bad at evaluating just how much damage their deck does. They feel like they need these cards more than they actually do. Like, people will take them when they could have easily skipped them and then just have -1 draw for the rest of the entire run. You don't really feel the difference, like, at all. Spire 1, a great lesson that taught me how bad that sort of thing was, is you walk into the heart and you draw that on turn 2 and you go, oh, because you're dead. I didn't draw my Wraith Form and now I die. That sort of idea. A lot of cards you just never want to add. Like pretty much every single damage card in the entire game, I don't want to add because it's not contributing to any sort of engine or scaling or acceleration, whatever. It just says like a really boring thing on it. And Snakebite is definitely falling into this category of card that just like, I never want it to be in the deck, but sometimes it needs to be. I just think people are adding it too often because they can't realistically evaluate when it actually has to be in or not.
I think you didn't know how to build decks until you were blindfolded and whoever it was said, you drew Evolve. I think that's when you figured out how to build decks.
That was a big one.
I think that's when you figured out how to build decks. Was when Opa was like, you drew Evolve. And then something clicked in your mind. You're like, oh, something's wrong with my deck building.
I remember this. Yeah. It was like, he picked it early in Act 1, I think, and then every time I drew, I exaggerated, like, you drew Evolve. And it just never got played. Like, the whole act was like, oh, I drew badly, you drew Evolve. He's like, I didn't draw this card, I didn't draw that card, you drew Evolve. And we finally got to Hexghost, who was actually going to play, and it's like, it drew 2 cards. That was like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas like this, right? People, I think so often will just be like, oh, this power is really good, I'm going to add it. And then they don't think about the bad case of when I draw this card, and it feels so awful because it's just not the next card in my deck. I see so many decks on like Reddit and Discord and whatever of people adding like 4, 5, 6 footworks into their deck, then being like, why did I lose? Like I added all these S tier cards.
That's like Opam's deck every single time.
I do that. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I had 4 Fumes yesterday and I needed all of them.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
This is also every Necrobinder run I play. Like 5 Friendships and 5 Slider Fleshes. I need all of them.
Okay, I want to clarify. You will get punished for that. Okay, like you definitely will get punished for just clicking every single good thing you think. There is an output check you need to meet inside of the game, and once you've met it, you don't want to keep adding things that do the same stuff. Basically, like focus on just like accelerating the deck, like stuff like Adrenaline, you know, that just gets in because it just draws you into all your things. But there's such a thing as too much, and like the density of cards in your deck really matters. Like Spire is weird because it asks you a lot of different questions from different fights. Like there's fights that demand front load and there's fights that demand scaling. And if you build a deck that's only good at one thing and you walk into the other kind of fight, it can randomly kill you. I think Spire 2, that's less true than Spire 1. Spire 1 for sure punished you. Like the existence of Gremlin Knob is something we talk about all the time for encouraging deck building in a certain way. You really can't afford to just go all in on one thing and completely forget about everything else going on inside of the game and inside of your deck.
Wait, I do this though.
Just keep adding powers.
Just add every power. It's fine.
I think he's been hired by the anti-power propaganda squad. Like, just add more powers. More powers.
I have no idea what Jason's talking about. I see power, I just click it, and then my defense says block 30. I'm like, well, which boss is killing me?
But yeah, everything is a balance in Spire. Like you're trying to balance all of the stuff to meet the output checks that are in the game. Jason's trying. All right, he's trying.
No way. No, I don't
it's mostly just that there's not that much front load that actually blasts you off. Like if the heart existed, you can't add 10 footworks. You would just die on turn 2 because you draw 5 footworks.
The balance is more well balanced in Spire 1.
Yeah.
But like it still exists in this game. It's just not very well balanced. It's really skewed towards powers. Like you can kind of go heavy on scaling because the enemies don't hit you very hard.
Until you walk into the globe guy and he just hits you for 6 every power you play, and your hand is 5 powers, and Opham's crying in a corner.
The powers block
So
more than
many
6
powers.
though. I just play the powers anyway. They block for 6, so like they just help me block him, and then I block him.
I skip half the powers. I just weaken the guy, and he's like, I'm gonna do 5 times 3.
But please draw your leg sweep. Okay,
He just
that's the
doesn't go
point
very
I'm
much
making. Like, please do not stop your deck's
Yeah.
ability to draw into your actual card that does something. Like, you want to play powers, but you also want to play your leg sweep. Like, you need to not make it impossible to draw that.
I think it's more true for damage cards than powers.
I
what you're
agree.
saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of for powers and mostly damage cards. Because if you have like insane example like 5 bubble bubbles or something, like, oh, this is like 200 damage, because it kind of is. But then you don't draw your actual blocks, then it's sad. But the powers that they make you block more. So you have to draw less blocks. So it's less true, but it is kind of true. If you have too much, then you will actually die.
Yeah.
It's hard to get too much though, I think. You also have potions, like just glug a potion.
The idea is still there. I think it's just people overpick everything in this game, right? They go all in on all sorts of stuff. Like, so many people will have like a quote unquote shiv deck, and then they see another card that says add 3 shivs into your hand. And they're like, oh, shiv deck, I gotta add that because I have all the shiv stuff. It's like, do you really? Like, what if I just need to draw the accuracy that's in the deck, and then I'll play the shiv cards? But I don't want to stop myself from drawing accuracy by adding another blade dance, right? Like, you have like 3 or 4 cards that say add shivs, and then you're done. You don't want to pick more of those things. Like, you have a density that's already good enough.
The issue Jason had was that you added too many shiv cards, right? And you don't draw your accuracy. So I solved this by adding another 3 accuracies. So I draw my accuracy. And the problem is solved.
So the big idea is damage cards in this game are generally the worst cards. So you want to add as few of them as possible, just enough to kill the boss. You don't need to do like 1,000 damage. You just need to do 500 damage eventually. Don't overpick the damage cards.
Respect poison, but don't over respect poison. Snakebite's kind of like over respecting poison a little bit. Like, you don't need to go that crazy unless you do, like, you're dying. But like everyone's killing you because your deck sucks, and then you have to take Snakebite. It does happen, and you need to watch out for those situations. But Snakebite shouldn't be the core to any like silent strategy from the get-go. Like, when you start the run, you shouldn't be like, I'm gonna pick Snakebite on floor 1, 2, and 3 as like my premium damage option, because I don't think it's a strong card in that way, where you should like center your game plan around it. But it is a card that will solve problems for you if the problems show up that you need to solve.
Like what Jason was mentioning before, another overrated card from the community I feel is Hidden Gem. The turn you draw Hidden Gem is a very low impact draw because you play it, it doesn't do anything. And you don't draw into your leg sweep, and the enemy hit you in the face for 50. Of course, it's a very powerful effect. You're playing basically any card in your deck is always going to be good. It's like a pretty decent card on average if you need that scaling, but the opportunity cost of Hidden Gem is a rare colorless card. You pretty much always see this card in the shop. You're spending like 180 gold on it instead of just buying a relic or just straight up buying a power that has a higher short-term impact. A lot of people say this is like the best card ever, but I think it's just like okay if you need more scaling. It's one of the options that could bail your run out, but I don't personally want to buy this most runs.
I think Hidden Gem is awful. This card is horrendous. So I just talked about how good powers were, right? If I pick the power, I play the power, and it either works right now or it works with tons of cards in my draw pile. For the most part, like sometimes if I'm deck accuracy or something, but for the most part, for like some random block power, which I will add 50 of, it just suddenly blocks with every card. Hidden Gem, I draw it, I play it. It never does anything this turn unless I happen to also draw into the card. I don't even know what it's going to boost because you don't really remove cards now, right? It's going to hit like a strike. I don't even want to play the strike in the first place. So the output is unclear. You don't know when you're going to draw the card. And also you can bottom deck Hidden Gem and it hits no card, but I can ignore that for now. So then you get the output later, and it's one specific card as opposed to like every card. And also, this card costs so much money. You go into the shop and you spend like $200 on Hidden Gem. You could have just bought the power that you wanted instead that blocks, or just a relic, which you don't even have to draw into. And people think this card is broken and they spend money on it. Don't spend money on this. Terrible.
I definitely came down on this a lot since like colorless tier list a while ago. One, I think back then, again, infinite style stuff, like if you need any sort of scaling, then you have a small deck and you have more control, usually more draw, to figure out what it's going to hit. And so it can solve fights like that. But yeah, I think the opportunity cost of it just definitely makes it a lot lower in my eyes. Also, I don't think anyone here Well, maybe Opham actually thinks it's bad. I think it's a quite
No, it's
powerful
okay.
effect, but yeah, spending money on it is like really hard to justify. And so it gets docked a lot for that. When we say stuff like stuff is overrated, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means people maybe think it's way better than it is.
It's an interesting thing because like I almost never spend money on it. But when I randomly get it added to my deck from like Parasol, it does like even though my deck's huge from the Parasol, it does way more than I expect. When I get it from Toolbox, it does like a decent amount. Like it's a high output card. Like it does actually enhance the deck a decent amount just to have the card in the deck. You get it from, like I said, from Toolbox or from a colorless potion, and I just play it and then draw into the card that it duped. I play that card. Oftentimes I just kind of win the fight. Like it hits like any damage card, the card just suddenly does like 40 or 50 damage, you know, even like regular damage cards. It hits a defend and that blocks 15. That becomes like a 1 energy block 15, which is insane. Upgraded block 20. That's how the card works, right? Which is like a ridiculous amount of output for one card. You could add 1 copy of Hidden Gem to the base deck, like a Hidden Gem Plus, and a lot of things you could beat, like even like bosses potential you could beat. You might lose a lot of HP, but eventually you will be way overscaling the fight with just this 1 card in your deck. Not a lot of powers can do that. Even like creative AI struggles to do that in this game. And Hidden Gem can't kind of do that. It is that powerful of an effect. But it's a very high variance effect as well. Like you can just draw the card at the wrong time, where you can't spend the energy on it. You can just hit the worst card in your draw pile, like a card that doesn't get anything for replay. Like say you have a flat cannon in your draw pile, you play Hidden Gem, it hits flat cannon. That doesn't do anything. Like literally doesn't do anything. That's pretty bad. So it's a very high variance, a very high output card, which makes it just really hard to spend money on. But when you get it from random things, it's not bad. It's pretty good. Another card that we were talking about before we started recording the podcast is Accelerant. Opum was making a tier list. He put it in like one of the low tiers, and someone was like arguing with him, saying it's really good. If people are overrating Snakebite, which I think they are, and they are overrating poison damage in general, then Accelerant does just get better in that mindset, right? That's what we were talking about earlier with like if you're playing in a certain flowchart, if you're playing in a certain perspective, then certain cards move around a lot in the tier list. And you can make a tier list where poison cards are all very high in the tier list, and then Accelerant becomes an S tier card, right? So if you're playing in the run where poison damage became a huge part of your engine, then Accelerant suddenly becomes a huge damage amplifier that helps you win the late game. But if you're ignoring poison damage for the most part, then Accelerant is just one of those cards that's very reactive to how you play, basically. So I don't think it can really be overrated. If you're overrating Accelerant, you're probably just overrating poison. And if you're underrating Accelerant, you're probably just underrating poison. That's just kind of how a card like this works.
At least with how I want to play Silent, solving block is my #1 priority. If you can block, you can just do random damage from anywhere. So I don't want to build the deck where Accelerant is actually good. Like I don't want to shove like Bouncing Flask, Snakebite into my Silent deck. You draw a bunch of poison cards when the enemy are hitting you, then you die. I think probably the best way Accelerant can be good is like Burst, Bubble. Like if you line that up, the Accelerant gets some value. But also lining that up is also kind of in Disneyland. That's never happening unless you have a Runic Pyramid.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have
You have
Pyramid,
Runic Pyramid,
everything
every card's
is good. Yeah. Like, you can change your evaluations based on the run a lot. If you see
Yeah.
Pyramid, then all the cards that need Disneyland to work suddenly do work.
Yeah, you're in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Pyramid Land.
Pyramid Land.
I think my biggest problem with Accelerant is just like how poorly it works with Fumes. Like
Yeah.
the way it just turns Fumes off. And Fumes is the card I want in my deck for poison. Like Fumes is kind of the anti-poison card in a lot of ways. Like it's like I put Fumes in my deck, I don't need poison because my damage is solved. It's different from Spire 1 because Catalyst was actually kind of good with Fumes. Like you'd have Fumes proc twice, you burst a Catalyst and the enemy dies, and you didn't have to add any bad cards to your deck to do that. And this game you can't do that anymore. They significantly nerfed Catalyst by making it Accelerant.
I think people are a little hung up on this idea that like poison needs to do stuff like really fast, but the decks that you want poison to be doing stuff you also need to block. Like if you were just trying to kill the enemy, you would have just picked like front loaded stuff or good like accuracy things or like anything else, right? If you really need a card to accelerate damage in that situation, your deck really failed at doing something else along the way, I think. So I don't know if it's us underrating poison so much as it is just people overrating it and then not building their deck to work with the poison correctly. Like I think all of us agree that this like Fumes plans idea is just unbeatable in this game. Like if you get those things, you are just not ever going to lose the run. It's just so much output and you don't need to do anything else. And like VM was saying, like I really just want to solve block on this character more than anything. The damage can come from a random infinite blades plus phantom blades. Like that can be all my damage for the run basically, and that's enough. you don't really need very much because the enemies just don't scale to the heavens anymore like they used to. So you can sort of sit around in like every fight forever. Even just one Snakebite on its own without Accelerant can also solve damage. I've had runs like that for sure where I saw like early footwork and then I picked one Snakebite and I just sat there. And so even though I rate Snakebite pretty lowly, I do recommend like thinking about what else is going on in the run to maybe make it better than normal. You definitely shouldn't just stick to the tier list, right?
Accelerant is a pretty good card if you do have poison damage. That's not Fumes. Like,
Yeah, Fumes is
the
big
card
one.
does do a lot of damage for 1 energy if you like are playing cards like Snakebite and Bouncing Blast. How'd you get in the spot where you're playing those cards? That's a different question. Like, that's really, I think, what has to be analyzed is like, why is your deck at the point where you do think Accelerant's good, instead of like, why do you think Accelerant is good? Because like, if you have a lot of poison damage, like the card does triple the poison like top prick. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's very rare in this game, but sometimes you just do not get offered enough block to be able to sit around. And if you're in that kind of position, then you are effectively forced to kill the enemy before you get killed. In that kind of case, I could see it. I don't think this really applies to Silent though, but it does happen on
Yes.
Clad pretty often. Ironclad, you
Clad
can't
for
block. Right?
sure,
If you can't
yeah.
block, then you've got to add damage. And Accelerant does kind of fit that role of, well, the enemy's got to die. Someone's got to die first, so the enemy's got to be the one to die. I hope.
That makes
Yep.
me
But usually not.
it makes me think of something that Zeknar told me inside of Spire 1. If your deck is really good at doing something, you should just not cripple its ability to do the one thing that it's really good at by adding stuff to try and fix the things that your deck is bad at. The main example being like needing to kill the enemy really fast. Adding one random block card to a deck that cannot block and is just really trying to kill fast does not make you block. It just makes you unable to kill fast. Sometimes you do end up in decks. It's not super frequent, but Clad I think is the most egregious example of this, where you really just need to do the one thing that you're trying to do. I think we talked earlier that may sound like conflicting information, but I do promise that you need to just be able to evaluate what your deck is trying to do and whether or not something you add to it is actually going to be positive or not. Again, the one block card in the pile of cards that just has like 3 dominates and is trying to murder the enemy, not doing a whole lot.
Yeah, and Silent starter deck is very good at blocking. And Silent's entire card pool is very good at blocking. And Accelerant does not help with that.
My most recent tier list had a lot of people defending Cosmic Indifference, telling me that I was underrating it. It's funny to me because I played with this card so much after the glow nerfs because I was trying to find other ways. Like my initial Regent style was really glow centric, and I think that was true for like basically everyone, right? And so I was thinking of like, what if I just do these really big decks and I use Cosmic Indifference? Like it's headbutt, how bad could it be? And I played so many runs just picking it on site inside of Act 1, and it just never felt good to me. I really tried to make that style of deck work, but I just don't think Regent needs it when there's so many other cards in the card pool, like freaking retain cards, you know, and ways that you can just draw a million cards or do things that end the fight immediately that you just don't need this sort of effect. And again, this one card draw, I think people also looked at Grave Blast and said the same thing. Like that effect is just not as good. Like if your card is not doing something attached to the put one card on top or put one card in your hand effect, it's often just not a high enough impact draw. Like we just don't have that much energy in this game. I'd rather just draw an additional card that has a chance to do something better for the most part.
Regent's kind of like an interesting case with this, at least for me. Most Regent runs go into like 2 flow charts pretty much for me. It's you have got a ton of star stuff and your deck is pretty slim and you just cycle your glows and your conversions. You just play your star cards or you draw Spectrum Shift, Pillar's Creation, and I win. And in the small deck thing, the Cosmic Indifference is like, your deck's small, so why do you need to lose a draw to pull a card back? You're going to draw anyway without this card because your deck's small, or you're holding your deck anyway. And the other one is like, well, this is breaking the power that I need to draw. And once I play the powers, I don't really care about bringing any card back. So the card doesn't really have a purpose. The number, it's not big enough to really do anything. Like 6 or 1 energy, I don't want to spend 1 energy on that.
If it's at 8 or 9, then we're talking for sure.
Yeah.
But often your most important cards are the powers.
I actually think Cosmic Indifference is awful. Like I think it's real bad. It's basically like exclusively if you have Silver Crucible and it gets offered to you over like other things and you want a block card in your deck and you just take it as a block card. The main thing with Regent is that the character has an overabundance of output. Like the character's like card per card output is by far the highest out of any character in the game. Ridiculous output on each card, like over static cards all over the place. But you are quite limited on card draw and energy. Like the way you generate energy and the way you gain card draw is just kind of awkward. There's a lot of relics to help you do that, but your card draw energy is kind of limited. That's why you like card generation, is because like it opens up how many options you have when you can't draw that many cards. Cosmic Indifference is like a card that's very hungry for card draw and energy. Like it wants you to draw a lot of cards to get through the Cosmic Indifference itself and also the card you put on top. And also it wants you to use a lot of energy to play the Cosmic Indifference itself too. So it's just a very hungry card for things that Regent does not have much of, while also having very low output. The way Regent usually solves problems is just by playing these really high output, insane, broken cards every turn. And Cosmic Indifference, even though the writing on the card might sound like it helps you do that, it's not actually helping you do that, because it mostly just plays into your weaknesses of not having enough card draw and energy on the character. In my experience, anyway. I think the card's really bad.
It just comes down to 6. 6 block is just so bad. I'm not adding a defense to my deck with some potential utility that might not even be helpful.
And it's also so draw order reliant. Like the next thing we were going to talk about is decisions. That's a card that if you do line it up with something cool, feels so good, right? And I do think people remember these like super high roll situations, or maybe they had one run that could reliably do it. But in most runs, something I can't play on turn 1 unless I already have drawn like a Venerate plus or Glow plus and one more star generating card. It's just so difficult to actually make work. In my head, it's really just something that plays in bosses because I can reliably play it on the second deck cycle as long as I'm willing to not spend stars, but not something that's going to play inside of hallways. And again, -1 draw for this character is so punishing.
If you're in the Regen deck that has an overabundance of stars, decisions is like the best card ever. Like you play it, you win the fight. But that just doesn't happen that often. I mean, I think the easiest example is just Seal Throne. I mean, in that situation, decisions is crazy. But in that situation, you win the round 100% of the time. Or you have like that relic that gives you a star every turn.
I had a lot of people telling me that they have an abundance of stars, and so this card is always good. And that, again, leads me to the question of how did you end up in a situation where you do have this abundance of stars all the time? Whether it was like you intentionally trying to do it, or you're just overpicking star generation that you don't need. And so maybe your deck just has random stuff in it that it's not supposed to have, and it makes these things good. But what if you just cut both of them out, and then you just skip more stuff, and your deck is just better for it? If you do wind up in these situations where these things feel good, you should probably ask if you need to be in that situation in the first place. That goes back to Snakebite as well and Accelerant.
Yeah, I think Decisions is a very well balanced and very interesting card. Like it's actually like a really cool amount of output to get from getting 6 stars and playing it on the card. The fact that it costs 0 energy is really like interesting to work around. Recently I had a Prismatic Shard run, or Prismatic Gem. I astrolabed into Decisions and picked a Dirge. In every fight, I'm just like, decisions into Dirge, make a like
Holy
60 Austie, and get like a billion souls, and that's like every fight that I do. The card is like extremely high output, obviously. You can kind of read the card as 0 energy, 6 stars, win the fight. But Regent just has other cards that are so overstated that you don't need to commit to something that can be a brick. You can just commit to things that are very consistent. Decisions inherent inconsistency just makes it kind of a hard sell, even though the card does kind of say win the fight on it.
So we just talked a bit about overrated cards by the community, and now we're going to talk about some cards that we think are underrated by the community. And one card is Undeath. It's like 0 energy, blocks 7, and then it makes a copy of itself on Necrobinder. People are very afraid of clogging their deck. And this card it does clog your deck, but if you think about what it's clogging your deck with, 0 energy, blocks 7 is kind of like the best card ever on Necro, right? Because most Necrobinder runs just add 50 powers, and now you have 0 energy block while you play your powers. That's pretty much the exact kind of card you want. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. It's just good.
Yeah. 0 energy block 7 just so insane on Necrobinder specifically. Like on Necrobinder have so much energy problems if you don't exactly have like 3 friendships. 0 energy block 7, it doesn't clog your deck. It just adds good cards into your deck as you play it. Like very often I have Undeath in my deck, I'm not getting attacked. I play it anyways. Because on the redraw, I have to draw more Undeath to be able to block.
Most fights, if you are able to play your powers, you're probably in a situation where you're gonna win. The hardest part of the fight is before you've got any turns in it, right? Usually like before you've deployed anything, before you made any progress in setting up what your deck's trying to do. That's the scariest part of a fight. And Undeath is just playing that first cycle. Afterwards, you don't really care. Anger is kind of a similar idea, but anger in this game is just really good. Like, I just think anger is like A tier now. Cloud just really wants this zero energy output because oftentimes you're just trying to kill stuff fast. Kind of the opposite version of Necrobinder where you just sort of have to hit the enemy because you can't block. And it's letting you do just that. You don't often see the redraw. And even if you do, it's like 4 or 5 turns in. So Undeath is sort of a similar thing where it just is doing exactly what you want to do on the character anyways and supporting a plan that should hopefully allow you to win even if your deck is clogged. And this is the same thing with like Spectrum Shift. If you generate bad cards and you have to see them gammon, I don't really care because I'm just seeing more cards on the turns that are like the stress points of the fight.
The whole idea of deck clogging is like some player have this idea of I'm building this constructed deck that does one thing. I play this combo over and over again, and I'm able to win like that. For Slay Spire, that's not necessarily true, just the way how powers work. You're not like putting together this combo that you play on turn 5 and the fight end. You're deploying all these random powers to scale up naturally over the course of the combat. And after the scaling is down, it doesn't really matter to an extent. It doesn't really matter what's actually in your deck if you can deploy those powers without dying. That's why cards like Spectrum Shift is so good. Just generate value every single turn. And if you have generated enough value, the redraw doesn't really matter. And Undeath also generates that value, 0 energy, block 7. It's also a very good enchantment carrier, of course. Any card that duplicates itself in this game carries enchantment very well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about is like the Swift enchantment from Nanu on this card. The duplicated card will have the Swift enchantment as well, just like Anger, and that's obviously very strong. For a 0-cost card to draw 3 and then put another 0-cost draw 3 in your discard pile that blocks 7 is ridiculously broken. Also, you can add keywords to it with Necrobinder. Like a card like Snap. Snapping Undeath is very strong. Like adding Retain to it so that you can like hold every Retain card. Obviously, Snap doesn't end up in your deck all that often, but snapping Undeath is really good. You can hold like 4 Undeaths in your hand on the reshuffle and then wait for the big turn where they attack you for a bunch of damage and then play all your Undeaths on that turn. You get to kind of accumulate them. Yeah, Undeath is just a really good card. Very generic, kind of boring, but Necrobinder is a character that likes these very generic, boring block cards. It deserves the rare placement, even though it's kind of generic, because Necrobinder just loves these block effects, and a 0 energy block effect is just so broadly useful on the character. The only awkward thing about it is that it's a rare card, so like it's competing with Neurosurge and Domain and Necrobinder rares, which are really good. So that's like the only actual issue with it.
Ultimately, in this game, every fight is just, can you meet the output check? At least, well, for boss fights, like, can you meet the output check required? And Undeath, just 0 energy block 7 is enough output to block the bosses. So every time you draw this, you're just happy because that's kind of all you need. You can put your energy to damage. Like, Sai is a boss relic, and it just says block 7 every turn. Undeath is pretty close to that. I guess it costs a draw, but you effectively got a Sai, and it's just kind of crazy, right? You just meet the output check because you have this extra block suddenly. For Necrobinder, if your Osty's alive, your Unleash is like, boom, enemy dead. Because you have enough output to keep Osty alive. So this kind of gets you above that. If you're below it, you're dying everywhere. Osty's dead, you're taking chip damage everywhere, and you're sad. So this kind of just, the extra output is just enough.
For the second underrated card, I guess we can talk about Cascade. I do see some people, some people were in this call who say Cascade is like janky or like awkward. When in reality, like in my opinion, obviously, it fits very nicely into the core way I want to build Ironclad decks, which is centered around Bloodletting as an energy source, and lining up this card with Bloodletting and this card also playing Bloodletting. Those two things separately are both very strong. I'd say it plays like Blood Wall, Pommel Strike, Bloodletting. Like that's really strong, and those are cards I have in my deck like every Ironclad round. Playing Burning Pact, playing like when I think of an Ironclad deck that I'm constructing in most Ironclad runs, playing random cards is just kind of strong. Like it just works out usually. And Bloodletting is like the linchpin that makes all that work. X-cost cards really want energy, and that's why I kind of like Whirlwind in this game as well. Because like Bloodletting is in almost every Ironclad deck, so you have like this extra access to energy. And if you don't have the outlets for it that are like really good, like Burning Pact and Pommel Strike, then Cascade and like Whirlwind X-cost cards in general can kind of fill that void for you. It can also be a cool part of like you exhaust your deck down to a Cascade loop, where like you exhaust down to Bloodletting and like some draw cards and Cascade, and you just play Bloodletting and you play Cascade, and then you play Bloodletting, draw card, and then you draw back into the Cascade. It can do that as well. But it's mostly just centered around Bloodletting being an energy generating card and Cascade being an X cost card. So that's why I think it's good.
I think a lot of my feelings on that come from, if Bloodletting's in my deck, I already feel pretty comfortable in the run. It's the runs that I don't have Bloodletting where it feels really bad. And so, like, if something only really feels good after Bloodletting, I'm like, there's a lot of things that feel really good after Bloodletting. I'm kind of okay with taking. It's just another one of those things in that basket. I'm trying to figure out more now how to win runs without energy gen. That's kind of the core problem that I've been trying to solve lately on Clad, and it doesn't feel like Cascade is doing that much in that kind of run. But as a whole, in general, I agree with you. I mean, most runs have Bloodletting. It's a common card, and there are other energy generators. They're just not nearly as good. It's kind of funny that the common card just is the best one. Like, even in a vacuum, you just put them all together and read their effects, and you're like, yeah, I want that one. But yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I don't know how much I'm underrating it. I think most people think it's like unpickable. I think I put it in like B tier or something. So I don't think I'm like completely sleeping on it. I definitely have played with it quite a bit and like given it the upgrade. And I do think it needs the upgrade to be strong, even with Bloodletting.
Yeah,
But
the upgrade's very important.
yeah.
It's like a card you can speculate into Vect 1 on pretty safely, because like it's not a low impact draw necessarily. It opens Imbue, like Imbue Cascade's pretty fun. It also just like plays nicely with the decks that you're generally trying to build. There's just a lot of ways to make it strong. Like you get Chemex, and then like its average output's also just kind of okay. So if like on average it's fine, and then it's like top end is really really good, it's like a solid card. It's not S tier in my opinion, but it's solid.
It's kind of like an anti-brick. Let's say you draw 4 strikes, Cascade. You just play Cascade. You have a bad hand, you can rely on Cascade to do a slightly better thing that turn. If you're drawing a good hand, then you have a good hand. So I do like cards that's like better when your hand is worse. Also, it does dig deeper into your deck. You get your powers down faster, if not on that turn. And yeah, the upgrade is really good. It's like, I didn't even think about the upgrade. It's like +1 draw and plus like 2 energy or something.
Yeah, plus like 1.5
Yeah, really
energy
good.
or something. So not quite 2, but close.
I think over skip, I like it a lot, but over offering, not really.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
offering is
nothing
just
over offering.
yeah, offering is like its own. It's just the card.
Or over any like the good rares, you know what I mean? Like unmovable, yeah, that thing is ridiculous.
Are you guys picking Cascade with Fiendfire or Second Wind already in the deck?
Yeah, like Stoke. I mean, if I have enough energy generation, it can still fit into that. But yeah, I will avoid it if I have like these exhaust your hand effects, right? Because the main awkward thing is like you play your Cascade to hit Stoke, exhaust your hand, and then you have no energy because you use Cascade, right? So like you don't get to utilize the Stoke because you play the Cascade. But that kind of gets mitigated if you have enough Bloodlettings, because the Cascade will like play a Bloodletting anyway. Bloodletting is just really good, so it can kind of like excuse these problems anyway. Like Bloodletting, Dark Embrace. Like, if you have Dark Embrace, obviously you can cascade into these things kind of safely. So it's contextual, but yeah, obviously it's a bit risky to play lose your hand effects, and those effects are very strong. Like I think Stoke, Second Wind, and Fiendfire are all like S tier cards, so you do want those in your deck, and Cascade can be awkward with them. But I think Cascade on its own is just powerful enough to say it's like an A tier card, because Bloodletting is just that good. When Bloodletting gets nerfed, which it probably will at some point, Cascade will drop off a cliff, but yeah, it's decent for now.
I think it's pretty similar to at least my evaluation of Stoke. And I know a lot, maybe everyone here disagrees with me. I don't think Stoke is like S tier card, and I'm pretty sure everyone else does. I think I put it in like bottom of A, but it feels like a Bloodletting check again. And the runs I'm trying to figure out how to win are the runs that don't have it. If Bloodletting does get nerfed, I think Stoke is also going to kind of fall off a cliff. It's another card that feels very similar to Cascade, where it really wants the upgrade, really benefits from having things already in the deck, like the Bloodletting, your Battle Trance, whatever. If I already have these cards, I feel so comfortable already. It feels like I'm really relying on those cards, and this is like the payoff card for it, and it's kind of strong, but not necessarily something I really want to speculate on. But I know I'm in the minority here.
So do we tear down Jason now about why he's so incredibly wrong?
Sure.
Stoke is one of the best payoffs for the engine, is the thing. Like, I play Burning Pact, I play Bloodletting, and then I play Stoke. Like, it's like the best card to play after you do those first two things. It's really good with card draw, really good with energy. Ironclad is just like swimming in card draw in this game. They really overcorrected Ironclad's problem in Spire 1. Like, Ironclad doesn't have enough card draw. That's his problem. So they way overcorrected. Now Ironclad just has infinite card draw. Like, you draw so many cards, and Stoke is just a really good payoff card for that card draw if you don't have enough output yet. It's an output card, basically. It does do an alright job at that. I do think maybe I'm overrating it a little bit. it feels like if I play it on 5 cards, it really doesn't do anything. But if I play it on like 8 cards, it just blows the whole game up. Like it's like very subtle difference. If I have barely just a little bit more card draw, like if I have 1 more energy and like 2 more draw, the card just wins the fight. But if I don't have that, then like I miss one of the combo pieces that the Stoke gives me, and it just doesn't really do anything at all. It's also a very important card to upgrade, and that's like a little bit awkward. So I can see arguments against it. Like Ironclad has pretty hungry upgrades in the card pool. Like you want to upgrade every draw card, every Pommel Strike, every Battle Trance, every Burning Pact. Like you just want to upgrade all of them. So taking time to upgrade a Stoke instead of one of those cards, like when for the Stoke to be good, you have to have those cards in your deck already, is a bit awkward. I see some downsides for it for sure, but I do think the overall effect is one of the best payoffs for the engine that I'm building on Clad most of the time.
Can agree on that.
And it's been very good for me.
I think this card is completely ridiculous. Even if I'm only stoking a 5-card hand, which is the worst case, that's the bad case. But usually it's not, because you just add every draw card. But even if you draw 5 cards, you draw Stoke, your deck's not gonna be green unless you got Apotheosis, and then you win. So I'm gonna ignore that. So you draw your hand. Your hand's not gonna be green, right? All you have to do is upgrade the Stoke. Now you replace your unupgraded cards with upgraded cards, which are going to be better because they're upgraded. And also your deck's full of basics, so you don't remove. Now you got like the best hand ever instead of basics that are unupgraded, or some random cards that you don't even care about, like Bash or some unupgraded garbage. It's just always plays. That's the bad case, right? You get 4 random cards, but even then it's still just playing. The output's so tremendous.
From Neow, I definitely agree with you. Like, I think I just haven't really seen it from Neow at all. And maybe that's where like a lot of this is coming from. Like end of Act 1, I've had it with upgrade and with retain, and it still hasn't felt that crazy. Maybe I'm low rolling. Like I haven't had it enough runs. I think I need like a way bigger sample size. Like I think I've had it like probably 10 runs or so.
Yeah, I think I put it number 6 on my tier list. I'm pretty sure. It just plays with a lot of things. Like with Dark Embrace, it's actually really good with Dark Embrace.
Yeah, it's sick with Dark Embrace. Yeah.
Very strong with Feel Pain, and it makes it so much easier to click Feel Pain, because like the thing with Stoke is you don't need damage nearly as much. Like your deck can be kind of a pile of garbage, and then like you just have enough card draw to make the Stoke happen, and you don't really need like a cohesive strategy outside of that. You're just like, I play Stoke and my strategy will just happen naturally. It's Dead Branch. Like it does the same thing as Dead Branch, where it just turns like your random pile of cards into like, I can kind of win every fight without taking damage, because like I play the Stoke and something's gonna happen. It's gonna be good enough. There is a limit though. Like you can't just be stoking 4 cards like with a 5-card hand on draw and be like, I'm gonna set the world on fire with that. Like you're not. Like you're gonna low roll and do nothing on that turn, and that's gonna be really bad. But I think once you get to a certain amount of cards, it starts to get to the point where it's just good.
Yeah.
I think at the end of Act 1 is still not pretty good. It's really good. It also gives you that security for the Act 2 boss. You're a bit less worried about having enough scaling for the Act 2 boss, because you can just stoke it up. Feel No Pain is big for me. Feel No Pain by itself is actually really awkward to pick in this game. It's not like Slate Spire 1 just picks Feel No Pain every time. Then with the Stoke, suddenly you just pick Feel No Pain. Then your block problem is completely solved.
I could see the argument that later in the run, Stoke is even better because you'll find the draw cards later. Early game, you don't even have the draw cards yet. And when you have any draw, Stoke's just crazy, right? So early game, your deck's base cards, or everything's better than base cards. So Stoke's insane. Late game, you probably have draw, and you play Stoke, and then you're happy.
It's still better early game, because like it warps your deck building, right? Like you get it in early game and it lets you pick these other things that are like really good and make your deck very consistent. And Stoke gets to be your payoff, and making Stoke your entire payoff is really strong. So like just the way it affects your drafting makes it better early game. Like late game, you kind of already solved those problems. So Stoke is just like this powerful payoff card, but you don't really need it. Well, in early game, like it lets you pick Dark Embrace, it lets you pick Feel No Pain, it lets you pick more Bloodlettings, more draw cards, and like that's already what you want to do. So that's why Stoke's probably better early game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm basically saying Stoke's good at any point in the run, basically. Unless your deck's exceptionally good. If your deck is so good that random upgraded cards are worse, well, okay, Stoke's bad then, but also you won.
Yeah.
If you didn't already win, you got random upgraded cards. It's just amazing. It's random power. It just plays. Like random ass Hellraiser spawn into your hand. Horrible card to pick, but spawn into your hand. Fantastic. Random Stampede spawn into your hand. It just plays the expensive attacker spawn into your hand as well. This happens pretty often.
I do think, again, this is the bloodletting check. Like, if you don't have bloodletting, it's going to feel a lot worse. That's just, maybe it's just the specific runs that I've had. I can definitely see myself being
really
completely wrong on this, but
with like just a Trance Plus, the card already feels kind of good.
yeah, I could see that.
It's not just
I don't need bloodletting.
Yeah.
It's so good. I have not been disappointed with this. Sometimes I low roll one fight, like, okay, I rolled 5 bad cards, but usually this is something I want to play that's just better than what I was going to play anyway. And when I redraw the bad card, no worries. I Stoke that bad card away, and I get a new one. I'm chilling.
I think the thing is, upgraded cards in this game are all good. Even if a bad card, it's upgraded, it suddenly is like a good card. So Stoke upgraded just never misses for me, at least.
The only argument I can see against it is that upgraded nature of it. Like Stoke unupgraded, it just kind of it's kind of bad, and like forcing yourself to upgrade a card, like taking it from end of Act 1, right? Like what Jason's talking about. Like you take it end of Act 1, and like the card's only going to really go off once you upgrade it. When are you upgrading it? Like halfway through Act 2, if you don't have to rest before the elite. And then like there's a lot of variance attached to Stoke itself. So like you're putting all your eggs in the Stoke basket, walking into Dust and Millipede, you play it bricks, you die. Like there's a lot of like problems with it if you see it at those points in the run. But it is obviously very powerful. Like the effect is really strong. It's just a high variance effect attached to a card that needs an upgrade. And when that's the case, like those two things combine, there is some awkwardness for sure. Like I can see it.
I recognize its strength. I just think the placement of tiers. I mean, this
it's okay. It's just like
Yeah.
You can't like rely on it. You can rely on upgraded Stoke. Like it's super reliable.
Yeah. Speaking of cards to rely on, what about Infinite Blades?
Reliable
Final
damage.
underrated card.
4 damage every turn. That's broken.
Didn't find fumes.
This card looks so bad. I think if you don't understand the context of what it's doing. Silent, we've already discussed a little bit about how you sort of just sit around and block, and the damage comes from something. This is just allowing me to spend all my energy on block, which usually if you have to spend 1 energy on doing damage and only the rest on block, you're taking chip here and there. When you don't have to spend any energy on damage and can focus entirely on one, just drawing into your block cards. Like I can play my Acro and find my good blocks and then just play them and make progress in the fight. And it scales with like 8,000 things, like all the ninja relics, accuracy, phantom blades. It's just disgusting, right? Like it's just so much better than what people think. And again, I think they're just comparing it to something like Blade Dance where like, well, why wouldn't I just pay 1 energy, deal, 3 shivs worth instead of infinite blades? But fights do go a lot longer in this game sometimes. And this is sort of a power that just solves so much output throughout a run. It's just insane.
Let's just talk about only Act 1 because it's simpler. Infinite Blade is like good against every single elite. Maybe besides the bird.
No, I think it's good against all of them.
But I think Infinite Blade is good against every single elite.
It's like a little awkward against Byron and a little awkward against Phantasmal Gardeners.
Mm.
Those two specifically, the eels.
Gardener is still fine.
Like there's better things to do. Like the thing about Infinite Blades is it's just like a 1-cost power and you're playing the silent. So haha funny 1-cost power. Like I put it in play, I win. Like GG. Like, like the character is just play all the 1-cost powers, and if you need like a couple of them to deal damage, and Infinite Blades is just one of the ones that deals damage. Like the character is so simple. Like that's why I don't play the character anymore. It's like so simple. You just play the power and then you win. And Infinite Blades just is the power that does the damage. It's not like Fume's good, but it's solid. You play it with the other shiv power that like retains the shivs and makes the first shiv you play deal more damage. I forget what it's called.
Phantom Blades.
You have those two together and like you don't have to worry about damage anymore. Congratulations, you're playing the silent. You played 2 powers and now you don't have to worry about damage anymore. Like cool. I played Adrenaline, I play Footwork, Phantom Blades, Infinite Blades, and then I just sit there and play Dodge and Roll. Like, oh my god, I'm so talented. Like it's like not even what we're talking about. It's a 1-cost power on the silent character. Like it's just obviously good. Like all the 1-cost power that deal damage. Caltrops would be good in this game. Like
Caltrops is insane.
It's so good. It's like whatever, man. Like, who cares? It's a power. It says damage on it. Like just does the thing.
We have rare Caltrops that gives you dexterity now.
Oh my god.
So and it costs 0.
So stupid.
That thing is not legal, bro.
Abrasive is such a dumb card.
Caltrops is also in the game. It's just very rare. It's from the event.
Oh, the trash heap.
Oh yeah, it's
the
true.
random.
Yeah.
Forgotten
I've never
card.
gotten it. So
Never
It's
gotten
good,
it.
too.
That's
I got
really
it on
kind of
Necrobinder
broken,
recently,
Amazing.
and I was like, haha, I'm Necrobinder. Caltrops. I'm sitting here Necrobindering it, and the enemies are just dying. I Caltrops. The card just like solos Phantasmal Gardeners. It's so funny. Like all of Underdogs just gets soloed by that the Caltrop.
bronze scales in this game is nuts. Like it's so disgusting. So much output.
So good.
So speaking of Infinite Blades, that's a returning card from Slade Spire 1. So what do you think are some of the major differences between the 2 different games? Also, Infinite Blades was like pretty good in Slade Spire 1 too. I think it's also underrated in that game.
Agree.
Silent and Spire 1 was the same character as this game. You just played the funny 1-cost powers. But like Infinite Blades was like lower power level in that game compared to her other 1-cost powers, because like you didn't have the synergy with the other thing. And also you had Time Eater and the Heart that would like punish you for playing Infinite Blades, right? But it was still like in the core concept of the character, which is play 1-cost power, block, win the game. Infinite Blades just fills out one of those roles.
The biggest thing for me is the lack of Gremlin Knob. That's really it. It's just the ability to build decks that can just pick powers and skills and all these things inside of a couple first floors of the run and not be punished for it at all. Let you just build this abomination of a deck that just sits there and wins the whole run, right? And for people that don't know, Gremlin Knob was an elite inside of Spire 1 that had about 85, 90 HP. And it would scale whenever you play a skill. It's the test subject buff from phase 1, where when you play skills, it gets stronger. So it's really just test subject, but act 1. And it would just kill you. If you tried to build a deck like how we're building decks now, like Necrobinder versus Gremlin Knob would be an entirely different character. Just the existence of it means you have to respect it in your deck building and not walk into an elite fight. Same thing for like Silent. These characters would just really struggle there and would have to completely warp their ideas. And so your decks in the endgame will look different because you can't start putting the pieces in that you want to be putting in inside of Act 1. And you have to just add like garbage attacks to your deck to get around it. I think it's a really big change, and it would be healthy for the game and add a lot of stress. I know people think Act 1 is too hard right now anyways. I just think Act 1 is the most interesting part of the game as is. And I think Gremlin Knob was a really great thing to have in Spire 1 because it made me think and my deck building.
I think another big thing for me is the Act 1 bosses. A Slime Boss Act and a Hexagons Act look very different. A Slime Boss Act, let's just say Silent, because Silent struggles the most against Slime Boss. You're kind of forced to pick this like garbage attacks to not die to Slime Boss, and you're maybe trying to play like a more aggressive Act 2 because you have all the random attacks in your deck. You might as well form Act 2 at least. That run looks very different. A Hexagons Act, where you might be forced into picking some really bad scaling damage cards, like Bouncing Flask. And suddenly your Act 2 prospects are not as good because you have that garbage in your deck. I think in Slay the Spire 2, every act is like Guardian. The boss just like sit there. You can kind of just build the exact same deck out of Act 1 every single time.
Except for Bantam.
Yeah.
Except for Bantam. Bantam is good.
Bantam is just the pinnacle of design in this. I mean, it makes you think, right? And that's exactly what you want from our game.
You're actually building your deck around Bantam. I want to build my deck around the Act 1 boss.
And changing my macro.
The reality of Spire 1 was you played all your acts differently. You thought you were super special, and then you clicked P-Box and retained your intangible, and that's all you did. That was Spire 1. That's the reality of the game.
At least we can't swap into P-Box in this game. There's that.
Amid.
Yeah. There's some things that were like more broken, but
I think on Silent, Lagavulin changes my deck building. I do the same deck for everyone else, and then Laga's like, oh, I'm gonna debuff you. I'm like, crap, I gotta add real damage to the deck to kill this guy. The other bosses can't explore. I actually have to add Snakebite. The other bosses don't do that to me.
Yeah, Laga does affect Silent a decent amount. Like playing Laga as a regent, like or a Necrobinder.
Oh my God.
that poor boss. That poor boss against Regent Necrobinder. Even like Defect to a certain extent, but not nearly as much as Regent Necrobinder. Like they just make they embarrass that fight. Like, it's just sad. Sometimes Clad gets owned,
guys.
like you have to like think about it a little bit.
Walking to Lago and like Regent. It's like, oh, I got owned by their leads. I got 5 health. Oh, wait, it's Lag. I'm not going to rest. Just upgrade. It takes 0.
it's just Watcher. I mean, you just have Eruption randomly in your like. It's, like a lot of things in Spire 2 are inspired from stuff in Spire 1. Like Lagavulin Matriarch is a callback with similar mechanics to this elite that we're talking about here. Test Subject is like a huge callback. I mean, all the mechanics are Spire 1 bosses.
It's very funny to me. My constant joke in Spire 1 was always calling Book of Stabbing the most dangerous enemy in the Spire. Like, I would always say that. Every time Book of Stabbing was on the screen, I'm like, the most dangerous enemy in the Spire. And now the most dangerous enemy in the Spire is Test Subject Phase 2, Book of Stabbing. But the most dangerous enemy in the Spire is still Book of Stabbing, and some things never change.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people talk about how unfair Test Subject is now, and it's just so funny to me because it's like these are things that we just accepted as facts of life coming from Spire 1, and I can understand how if you got dropped into that and you have no reference at all for what Spire 1 looked like, you probably think this is such bullshit, which like it is, but I want the game to like put bullshit in front of me and force me to answer it, right? Like It's more interesting, I think, when you have
You're-
to solve these crazy problems.
You've been playing Spire 2 this whole time. You've just been babied, pampered by Spire 2.
Bro, compare Book of Stabbing to the freaking Beehive guy or the Dorito. Like, what
Oh
the
my
hell?
God.
Like, Book of Stabbing
Book of
just
Stabbing
mocks
just
both of
punches
them. Yeah.
It's crazy. More HP, hits harder, adds more annoying status cards to your deck.
Mm.
If you don't have an answer for it, you die from full HP. Like Book of Stabbing would just kill you. You walk in full HP and you're dead if you don't have an answer for it.
I also recall some guy in this call getting killed by Gremlin Leader from full HP on defect. And he replayed the fight like 8 times trying to prove.
I mean, there was many instances of that with lots of different fights with the person we're talking about.
Mm.
But the biggest difference between Spire 1 and 2 is just enemies like having bigger deck checks. Like Gremlin Knob's, I think, the best example of it. But like every Act 2 elite was a deck check. Like Gremlin Leader was like, can you kill my minions? Oh, you can't? You're dead. You know, Book of Stabbing was like, can you deal with like a big HP enemy? Like, can you block like 30 a turn or deal 200 damage in like this many turns? And if you can't, you're dead. And then Slavers was like, can you kill the guy on the right in this amount of time? Oh, you can't, you're dead. Like, you just die if you can't do the thing. Like Lagavulin, if you can't do the thing, you're dead. Like Sentries, if you can't do the thing, you're dead. Like the enemies just kill you if you don't meet the requirements. Well, in Spire 2, enemies just don't really do that. Like if you don't meet their requirements, you get chipped a little bit. Like they're gonna punch you, but you're not gonna die. So you can kind of like play around that a little bit. You don't have to be as good as deck building because like the enemies just are less harsh if you don't meet what they're trying to make you do, because they don't hit as hard. And that's probably the biggest difference I would say between these two games.
I think there's 2 elites in this game that actually force you. It's the Frog Parasite and the Decimillipede. Because if you can't kill a Decimillipede guy, you're suddenly facing like 50 damage, which you never see in this game. You kind of get destroyed.
Mm.
And the Frog Parasite, if you can't split it by the second infection thing, you're going to be drawing 6 infections. And then because you couldn't split, you probably don't have damage. So then you have to reshuffle again, and they got like 10 infections going on. And you actually die. So I think those 2 guys actually kill you. You have to prepare for specifically.
Yeah, those are Spire 1 elites.
Yeah, I love the Frog Parasite.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those elites. I think we mentioned that last time, like top enemies, and those were on there. On the patch notes, they did talk about how they wanted to take some of the Act 1 power and shift it into endgame. We discussed a little bit about how the problem of that is that taking power outside of Act 1 in terms of the enemy's power lets you build better decks to face future problems, and so it's a little bit harder to adjust difficulty in that way. But I would be more interested in them maybe buffing the power of Act 2 and 3 right now and seeing where that puts us. I will be very curious if the alt acts address that or if they're just going to change that. The patch notes we're referring to has been, I think, the only patch since the last time we recorded, which included a few changes that we will definitely go over. One of them is Neow's Fury, which used to pull back random cards into your hand and now lets you pick from 2. So how do we feel like that's landed?
It's good.
It's good. It's not the best, but it's good.
It's just solid.
I'm not sad when I click it now, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the only difference for me.
The premium Neows are still premium.
Yeah. And the other one would be the Conch, that when you walk into an elite and draw 2 extra cards, now it gives you 1 extra energy. And to me, that feels like almost just good now and probably going to get better as Act 4 is added and we probably have an Act 4 elite. But it does seem to allow you to actually get output inside of early game. And it really felt like they kind of took all the bad Neows and just made them good. Like there's just not bad Neows anymore at all.
Yeah, it's hard to brick.
Yeah. I mean, the Conch is effectively twice as good. You get Beggar Prep and Lantern.
2 common relics.
It's really good.
Conch is insane.
I have taken Conch and like I just run 4 elites, 5 elites, no problem, no rest, no potions used. Like I just destroy everything, and then it keeps playing in Act 2. It's like not even just an Act 1 buff. Like it would be a solid relic if it only played in Act 1 elites, and like it plays throughout the whole game, and it just gives you value throughout the whole game. It's incredibly strong.
I think it's one of the best ones now. I've just been picking it just to see, and every time I pick it, I'm like, what the hell? It's Void to Elite, and your output on turn 1's tremendous. 4 energy on turn 1 with 7 cards. Holy crap. Everything just lines up suddenly. You can do bash 2 strikes.
That doesn't fall off throughout the game either. Like the 1 energy is always relevant. In Spire 1, it may not have been true, but in this game, like we don't have access to energy easily. And you're combining 2 things that want to be together anyways, right? Like you want draw with energy at the same time to be able to play your extra cards that you see, and now we just have both.
This Neow would have been pretty good in Spire 1, I think.
This Neow would be
Yeah,
pretty good
I
in
think
Spire
it's
1.
true, but like you couldn't always necessarily utilize the energy in the same way. Like if you have energy relics already, you may not be able to play like your any more meaningful cards than you would be able to anyways. I mean, it's still strong, of course.
I mean, imagine Conch in Act 4. That's
Yeah.
just crazy.
I mean, just Bag of Prep alone would be really crazy in Act 4. As far as Act 2 is concerned, we got changes to Cheskatara's Soup, which I think now is just sort of insane, right?
Yeah, I was saying Soup was already like a situational, a good bonus. Like you pick it a lot on Ironclad. Ironclad just likes 0-cost strikes. Now it's just good. You can pick it on every character. I picked it on Defect once and just like farm Act 2 max elite, no rust, because it's so good.
Again, you spend all your energy on blocking, and now you just get to play free output, right? So you can build your deck in a way that you're relying on these strikes to deal damage, and they just got a 50% damage increase, which is insane. Like, they're real cards now. You pick cards that say 9 damage, and you're happy about it, right? I click Headbutt 4 damage inside of Act 1 on Clad, and now like I can click a thing that just says 9 damage free. Like, that's disgusting.
And it works with the Mystic Lighter.
Yeah.
This option is so broken now. Like, it's a personal little pet peeve of mine with card design. I don't like relics making base cards stronger. Like, I don't like Fasten. I don't really like the Goopy Defense, and I don't like this. Like, it just makes sure it strikes enough damage for the whole run. Like, I'm killing test subject with my strikes. That's not fun. Like, I want to like add cards to my deck to solve that fight, not just like kill it with strike. And it just makes card draw so good. Like, as soon as you get it, you're just like, it's an energy relic too. Like, it's a very powerful energy relic. It's kind of like crossbow. Like, you don't have to put energy into damage anymore. You just play these 0-cost strikes, and the enemies just kind of die. There's just ways to scale it. It's so good on Clad. Like, it's disgusting on Clad. Even on the other characters, it's like fairly solid. I've seen it taken on Necrobinder. I haven't taken it myself, but I've seen it taken on Necrobinder, and it plays, and it's like, okay, if strikes are playing on Necrobinder, we know we've gone too far. Like, something is wrong.
Yeah.
If strikes are playing on Necrobinder, like, we've messed up somewhere for sure.
Kind of like the buffing strike thing for me. It's like I see the garbage that I've been carrying around that I usually hate. Now it's doing stuff. I feel so proud. It's like my children have grown up. The strikes that were useless now they're doing real stuff. You know, oh, you're fighting a boss.
It's dopamine.
Plus 2 is a little bit excessive. Though. That's kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay, the
So,
playing.
I like to draft though. I want to play the card game. You know, like, I want to build a deck. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, build a deck around the strikes, and then I make the strikes the stars. It's like so beautiful. You are so useless.
I do think playing the 0-cost strike in combat feels really good. It's like giga dopamine every turn.
Mhm.
Swarm 0 energy
I
9.
just like playing cards, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a lot
See
more
the
cards to
you're
just
like, oh,
play.
I'm gonna play that card.
Yeah.
It's like Yu-Gi-Oh player. I just want to spam my cards.
So on top of this change, they also changed 2 cards on Ironclad from 2 cards that were pretty unpickable, I think we can all agree, to 2 cards that are just kind of good now.
I disagree.
I
Okay.
disagree.
Conflagration
Okay.
was unpickable.
Conflagration, I don't think it's unpickable, but it's pretty bad for what it was, I think. Like
Conflagration. It was fine.
8
It was just like
die
a
damage
cleave plus thing.
Yeah.
as a rare. That's disgusting.
As a like, it
was
was
a bad
pretty
rare.
boring, but it was just okay. Like, it did its job. If you needed it to do that job, like you're going into Act 2 and you don't have a Decimillipede AOE thing, you click the card.
That just ugh.
I don't like this change though. It's just a freaking colorless card from the event.
It's true.
It's
But
the same
I
card.
think Clad can use it more. My biggest issue is like there's not really bad cards anymore. I do think we need like bad cards or like cards that are
Yeah.
situationally most of the time bad.
I don't think they want bad cards. I get the feeling they don't like.
I get that feeling
Like,
as well.
maybe I'm wrong, but when I look at the buffs, I'm just like, they clearly don't want there to be bad cards. Like that is the vibe I get. Maybe I'm wrong, but that just doesn't seem like their design philosophy wants there to be bad cards. They want every card to be pickable in the same kind of range. Balance is every card being good in the same kind of area. I don't think this is a good thing, but you know, let them cook, I guess.
Yeah.
Conflagration, like the problem I have with it is that it's just really boring. Like the text is so small. Like it's a rare card. It's just like, do this boring thing. If you have strength, it's kind of okay, I guess. Like the card hasn't really changed that much. It doesn't have a lot of flavor to it. It's just like a strength attack, I guess. Like sword boomerang, but it hits all the enemies. Like it's fine. I wouldn't mind if it stayed the way it is. Like it's not offensively bad, but
Compared to Echoing Slash, it's a much cooler card, even though it's
Yeah.
also very powerful.
Thematically, it's
much
just
more
better.
powerful card.
Yeah, yeah.
I liked
And
Drum of Battle
or Drill.
before as well. Like there's a few runs where you had to really think about the downside of it, but you still pick it sometimes. Like it wasn't frequent, but maybe you have permafrost and it's like the first power you see. Or like end game, you just want to zoom and draw into your offerings or whatever and just win on turn 1. Like that did happen. And I think it's positive in those runs. It's just like really narrow. And now it just sort of seems like generically good with what you're trying to do and has some like really breakable interactions. Like corruption into Drum of Battle is hilarious. It's just mini offering. I definitely have a problem, I think, with like buffing every card to the point where everything feels good if the enemies stay the way they are. But I think the fix is really just to make the game stupid hard in terms of the enemies and like give the player the tools that feel powerful but still kill you, right? Like you can give the player their dopamine without making the game super easy by having all the cards be good.
Drum of Battle is weird because like my theory with it, like the old version, was it was designed when they were first initially trying to fix the card draw problem on Clad. And they were like, okay, what if we made this card draw power that's like really awkward because it exhausts the top card of your deck? But like Clad needs card draw so bad that it's like something you're going to actually take. But then they accidentally made it like where Clad has like Vicious and all these other card draw effects. It just got power crept basically. Like you don't have to take these mediocre draw effects when you have so many other better draw effects to take. If they nerfed Bloodletting and nerfed other card draw effects on Clad, then a 0 energy draw effect could have been really interesting and cool with like a major downside. But it ended up just being power crept, I think, with how it was in its previous state. Now it's just like a target for exhaust, like Stoke and Burning Pact and stuff. So it's just kind of good. If you don't draw your combo pieces, then it draws cards to get into your combo pieces. If you do draw your combo pieces, then it combos off of those combo pieces. So it's kind of like a you win or you win card. Like no matter how you draw it in your draw pile, it's good. So I don't love it.
I'm a bit sad about the Drum of Battle change because I like there being super niche cards that almost all the time they're kind of useless, but the one time they're actually good, you see, I'm like, this, I need this.
Yeah.
And it's the moment is so hype. But with the direction they do with that, if they're going to change cards that are super niche, 90% bad, I'm assuming they will not do this. But if it goes in this direction forever, which I hope not, then every card's like, oh, everything's good. There's no, well, this card could be good in this exact situation feeling, which I really like that kind of thing in a card game. You see your current position as opposed to, oh, this is good. I'm playing a run. Oh, it's always good.
Bad cards are fun. Bad cards are really fun. I love.
I don't want
bad
every
cards.
card just to be Iron Weight Plus. That would
Yeah.
be a bad game.
Honestly, I think bad cards popping off and bad relic as well popping off is it's so exciting. Like Unceasing Top, when it draws one card, the moment is so hype. Right.
You're
Yeah,
not
today
wrong.
I had a run. I was dead to test subject, and I like use some effect to transform a card in my hand or like exhaust a card in my hand, and then I was able to get down to 0 cards in hand and headbutt an attack and then play it. Like I hadn't used the Unceasing Top the entire run, and then I headbutt an attack, play it, and then I almost exactly killed the test subject. And I was like, beautiful. It was incredible. Like I love Unceasing Top. Like I'm so glad they kept that relic in the game. Like thank God they didn't just like remove it because it's bad. You know, like they actually kept it in the game. It's such a fun relic when it works.
Mm-hmm. Restlessness is a garbage card. The way it works, holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty hype when it works, huh?
Yeah.
When you guards down into it and draw into something.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, I think that brings us to the end of our planned topics for today. So thank you for joining us for the second ever Spire Cast, and we hope to see you all in a future one. Let us know in the comments what you want us to discuss. Any topic ideas are more than welcome. And also what guests you want to have on. I think for now we wanted to keep it to the 4 of us as we get used to sort of doing this podcast thing. It's pretty new for everyone. But eventually there's like a lot of people we want to have their opinions be heard and think it will be a really interesting discussion. So yeah, lots of feedback always welcome. And thank you all for watching.
Please leave feedback.
Subscribe to all four of us.
Subscribe to One Pun Man and unsubscribe from Japanese export.
I second
Please
this
subscribe
message.
to VM Service. This guy edits his own videos for like 9 hours. He's working so hard. Please do it.
Thank you to
He's good.
Asuki for editing everything. Oh my god, we would be cooked without
you,
you.
Thank you,
Go.
Asuki, my goat.
Goodbye.